Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to my SimCity video tutorials. In this video I will be continuing on with my multi-city tutorial, but first of all, before I show you anything of my third city, which is going to be a tourism gambling city, we need to address the problem that we had in the previous video of very few students going to the university from the first city to the second city to be educated, leaving the first city full of uneducated kids. Now, in order to fix that problem, I had to do a few things. In my second city, my education specialized city, regardless of the fact that I have the university, I have had to build a high school. I have placed the high school in here. I have not placed any school bus stops in this city because I prefer these students to go to the university. I have though upgraded this high school with a few more classrooms and 8 school buses. Now, why did I build so many school buses? Well, in order for these school buses from this city to pick up the children from my first city and later on from my third city. So when I go back to my first city, you will be able to see here that I have put back all the school bus stops in this city so that the kids from this city will be picked up by the buses from the second city and be transported to the high school in the second city. That will provide the education for the first city, and I will do the similar thing with the third city. Now that we have the education in order, there is another issue. Utilities. As I told you in one of my previous videos, when you have a 3-city region, the utilities between the 3 cities will be divided from the city that is exporting them. Since my first city is the one that has all the power, I have had to upgrade my power station, my solar power plant, up to full capacity for it to be able to generate enough power for all 3 cities to have enough. In my second city, where my water and sewage capacity is located, as you can see here, they are fully upgraded, and even though they are now draining the budget of this city, it is a necessary step to provide that I will not have to waste space in my third city building utilities. Now it's time to show you what the layout of my third city looks like. And here we are. It took me quite a while to rebuild this city from a blueprint I made in sandbox mode, but here it is. As you can see, when you enter this city, you hit a roundabout. You either choose left or right. If you choose right, you're going to end up on this bridge and head into the heart of the city next to some landmarks, hit another roundabout, and from there you can get to my third roundabout, and you're going to be next to the expo center or the pro stadium. While if you are a resident, you're not going to go to the roundabout, you're going to go to this avenue, and from there on you're going to find your home or your office. I know from playing in sandbox with this setup that all the tourists that get in and get out of this expo center and pro stadium will use this middle road, and they're going to walk all the way up here to where my future casinos are going to be, and they're going to have some good times. I have already zoned everything, so as you can see, there's commercial on the right side and on the left side, some in the middle depending on the land value, and same on this side. Now this side has this extra street that is going to make a hell of a lot of 4-way intersections, but this is necessary in order to allow for the residents, which are going to be different wealth classes, to mingle and go into each other's shops and be either shopkeepers or buyers. Now almost none of these buildings are on. The only things on are my 2 clinics, 2 police stations, and all these parks. The 2 police stations are here and here, and next to them you can see the clinics. I have chosen to go for 2 of each because I have separated my residential to 2 pieces. As I get residents in this city and have a workforce, I'm going to start with gambling houses up here, probably about 3 of them, after which I will be building a sci-fi casino and a slick casino, 1 each on these 2 places. In the end, there are going to be some hotels. They are going to be placed in between these landmarks, and the reason I am going to put them on the upper street is because this upper street is going to be a medium, and those hotels are going to be medium hotels. The reason for that is because high density hotels are going to make a huge amount of taxes, which can cripple a city's traffic. Therefore, those hotels that are going to be placed in these areas here are maximum medium density, so they do not overwhelm my city with taxis. I have chosen these 3 landmarks specifically because the Statue of Liberty the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and the Arc de Triomphe only allow about 275, these two are 275 tourists, while this one is 375. That means that not too many tourists are gonna be held up in the landmarks instead of the casinos. And the second thing is that these three buildings each give a high attraction rating for tourists, while they do not give off anything special, unlike this landmark which gives you additional residents, or for example the Empire State Building which gives you additional sellable goods. So they are not going to throw off your balance in any way. After a while, I have quite a few sims that have moved into my brand new city. Now, a brand new city. That actually is not entirely correct. Why? Well, check this out. It's September year 1, and this city is actually not so new. I ran this city for about 8 months while it was completely empty and devoid of all life. Why? Check this out. No air pollution. But what happens when you make a new city in a region that has been polluted with air pollution? You get huge amounts of air pollution, and it just keeps coming in. But you see here, it's completely clear. And that is why I ran my city for 8 months at cheetah speed until the air pollution ran out. How did I come to even think of that? Well, I asked myself, why do all my old cities have no air pollution coming in from the edges and from the region? Well, that was exactly it. They were old. Old cities stopped getting air polluted from the region. That's exactly what happened here. I didn't zone a single house. I just ran it for 8 months, and when enough time had passed, air pollution stopped coming in. Quite a nifty trick, wouldn't you agree? At this point, I have started having unemployment in my city. This means that I am ready to plop some casinos in the city. First of all, I'm going to plop some gambling houses. I'm going to put them right up here next to these train stations. I'm going to leave just enough room on the left side so that I can plop a module, because you cannot plop 4 modules on one side of the gambling house. It won't allow it. It will say too far. So you have to leave enough room for 1 module on the left, or right, whatever, and 3 modules on the other side. I'm going to plop them only with capacity, because these things that are supposed to increase the number of tourists per day mostly do not work. On a sci-fi casino, not a single module works. So I'm just going to put some low well capacity and some medium well capacity. I'm going to plop another one on this side and upgrade it the same way. Now, to start attracting tourists, I'm going to turn on all my landmarks. I'm going to turn off my bus terminal, 2 train stations, and this ferry terminal. I'm also going to turn on these park and rides at the entrance. And I'm going to start running the expo center. Now we can sit back and just enjoy watching the number of tourists per day go up. The first event I'm going to schedule, I'm going to start off easy. I'm going to go for a motocross. And there you have it, a successful tourism gambling city right off the bat. Now we have reached the moment where our first event has ended and I have earned 77,000 on my first event. Now all the tourists that have just left the expo center are going to take a nice long walk up these avenues, and up there where my landmarks and where my casinos are. Now, hopefully, some of those tourists at least are going to fill up those casinos and landmarks, which have lost a high number of tourists because the night has come and most of the tourists have gone home. Now, as I have more unemployment in my city, it is now time to get some hotels up and running, up there where I left the room for them, so that I can employ these workers. I'm also going to now add the third gambling house. If you look at the land value, you can see that some of it is medium land value and the rest is low. Now, when you're first starting, it is okay to have most of it low land value and low wealth hotels, because you're only attracting, and mostly only attracting, low wealth tourists. Therefore, I'm still going to keep this medium park that I have placed here off, and I'm not going to turn this into medium land value because I want more low wealth hotels. Now, you are now going to hit an issue where these commercials that you want to be providing goods to your residents are going to start turning into motels. Now, the way to stop this is to unzone your commercial. Now, once you have unzoned all the commercial that you do not wish to be turned into motels, you can now go back to the tourism overview and bulldoze all those hotels. Now it's time to get those zones back into commercial, but you're going to have to pay your attention to detail at this moment. Now, in order to have a shop, you have to unzone it before it turns into a motel, and that's how you control it manually, by zoning. And then as soon as the first building shows up and it is the one you want, in my case I want shops, and the foundations of a shop look quite different than a motel. So simply zone, wait for the shop to show up, unzone, and there you have it. Now you have to use the same trick you used down there in the residential to get shops instead of hotels, up here where you want the hotels instead of these shops. Now, it does take quite a while to do it properly, but when you do it, you're gonna be happy with the results. As you can see, there are no hotels in this residential, while all the hotels are specifically where they are supposed to be, next to the casinos and the mass transit. You can see here that I am constantly in the positive and my city keeps making money. I am still at 5,000 tourists per day because I have not made my city any more attractive. You can make your city more attractive to tourists by adding better and bigger casinos, by running the events from the expo center, which are more expensive, and also turning on your pro stadium and then running those events. Those events, be prepared, are going to bring in insane amount of tourists, so make sure that you have something for them to spend their money on once they enter your city. That will be all for this time around from me. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.